So our server is very strange compared to most. I would guess that 90% of all the servers in the world are based on a Windows-based architecture. Ours is based on a Macintosh-based architecture, which is very rare. The server itself is actually an M2 Mac Mini, 16 gigs of RAM, half a terabyte of onboard memory, Ethernet ports, provided by USB-C hard drive solutions in addition to the internal hard drive that we use to manage the server. More or less, all of the permissions, the sharing, the folder infrastructure, all of it is managed through that Mac Mini. However, all of the student projects are stored on a 32 terabyte NAS. It's a hard drive that's connected to the internet, which means that I can dial into it from anywhere in the world and access the files on the hard drive. So I've set up one for myself, that I use in my personal studio, and it's awesome. It's my own personal cloud storage, exactly. All 6 hard drives inside of the NAS are duplicated across all the other drives in such a way that the failure of any one drive will never delete any data that is not stored elsewhere on another drive. RAID 5 also offers humongous advantages in terms of speed of both read and write. So the thing about a server is that it has to be on all the time. You don't turn it off at the end of the day. The lab is more or less open 24/7 for my students in the DML, so I want them to be able to access it whenever. In addition to power draw from the Mac Mini, there's also the carbon footprint of the cooling that must happen in order to keep the server at an optimum temperature. One thing about server closets is that they get hot. All of these operations produce heat, and often a server is kept in an enclosure. I keep it locked, I keep it in a little closet, and therefore temperature control the entire room to 70 degrees throughout the day. Every time students leave the lab, the instruction is to completely shut down their computers. So computers do not stay on. The only computer in the lab that stays on is the server. All of the monitors are set to go into an eco mode the second that power is disconnected from the computer itself. If I had to guess, I would say that actually the air conditioning for the room is probably the biggest watt-hour based energy expenditure. I mostly do try and really keep power consumption to a minimum. From the Mac Mini, we are connected via 16 different Ethernet lines to every computer in the room. Therefore, whenever a user computer connects to the server, they're getting an incredibly high-speed connection directly to the Mac Mini and to the storage that is attached there. And we've been able to have 15 students editing 4K footage simultaneously. The implications of that are insane. We're talking about accumulated millions of operations per second. There are many disadvantages to working with a Macintosh-based lab. The management is a pain in the butt, creating new users, creating sharing permissions. It all has to be done manually, one bit at a time, one user at a time, a total of 8 operations that have to happen for every user that I add. Whereas in a Windows-based environment, it's just like adding a name to a database. So that's the basic architecture. It definitely could get more complicated than that, but I feel like that's a good overview as to the fundamentals of how it's set up.